Welcome back to our weekly podcast. We are going through the Gospel of Luke, and I want your opinion on something. So we've got the new year coming up.
Be careful.
Right? Proceed with caution, for sure.
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions. Are you a fan? Are you not a fan? You know, there are people out there that make these silly resolutions, and then, you know, there are some that make really meaningful resolutions. So what's your take?
Yeah, I'm definitely not against New Year's resolutions. I think the thing we have to be careful about is make sure that they support our overall vision and mission in life. Give you an example. As a church, we give updates on where the church is, where we're headed, how we're leading, and we try to give what we like to call next steps. These are things we're working on together in order to help us reach the vision and mission, to point us to Christ. And so I can't do that and then turn around and say I'm against New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
However, I think we need to be very careful, first of all, like I said, to make sure that they're focused on the vision and mission. Second of all, we have to make sure that they're realistic. And when I say realistic, they can stretch us. And sometimes they need to be beyond our ability, forcing us to rely on God and the power of the Holy Spirit to lead us and then provide what's needed in order for us to do what He calls us to do. But we don't need to just set goals that are high in our own mind, in our own flesh, to say, hey, this is what I want. But instead pray and ask God to lead you and guide you in setting those goals, and making sure that they align with His plan as well.
Yep.
And so I think we need to be very careful not to just set goals just because of the flesh, but they can help lead us and keep us focused on why we're here and what we're trying to accomplish and how we're trying to serve God as well.
Yeah.
We're going to be asking, and you didn't know this when you asked me this question because I haven't shared it with anyone.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to be having a service on January 21st where we're going to be talking about the state of the church, and we're going to talk about goals and direction for the church.
Okay.
And so we're going to talk about setting some goals.
Oh, good.
And so, yes, I support setting goals. I believe God gives us a direction, and we need to set kind of pivot points where we see, okay, I'm progressing in this area, I need to work in this other area. Know your shortcomings, know where you're wanting to head, and then that way you can adjust them as you go.
Yeah.
One of the key points, too, is always be sure that even when you set goals, be careful to realize that God can sometimes change our direction.
Yeah.
And so be open to God changing that even during the year.
Yeah, because His plan is much bigger, you know.
How about you?
I don't really set a New Year's resolution goal because I don't really stick with it. But it's not about me. Let's not make this about me.
I told you to be careful.
I know. Yeah, you did. But for anybody who has struggled this year in 2023, maybe it's been a tough year for a lot of people actually.
Yes,
heading into 2024, what advice do you have for them so they can have a better outlook and hope heading into 2024?
Again, I love the questions you're
asking. Oh, well, good.
I believe it's very important that we make sure that we're being obedient to God.
Absolutely.
And so our goals ought to point us in that direction. I think one of the things that we're seeing in our culture today, and then it's also affecting the church because we're bringing that into the church, is inconsistency, lack of commitment, lack of determination. We're seeing, I hate to say disobedience, but we see people falling away from the things that God has taught us to do. And the world is excusing that for us.
Yeah.
And then we're also not holding ourselves or each other accountable. And so what ends up happening is we begin to feel comfortable going outside of God's calling.
Yep.
Church in general is not culturally cool anymore. And what I mean by that is not that you're going to be persecuted if you go to church, but it's not something that people feel like they should do because culture leads them there.
Right.
So cultural Christianity is basically on its way out the door. It's close to being out the door. And so status and things of that sort, because of being in the local church, that's going away. So what we see is those who want to grow in Christ, those who want to mature in their faith, those who want to work with other people in fellowship and stimulating one another to good deeds and that God has set before us, they're interested enough to get up and be here when we meet. They're interested enough to stay in contact. They're interested enough to be in small groups or Sunday school.
Yep.
They're interested enough to say, I'm going to do the things that God has set up for us to do in order to help me grow in my relationship with Him ultimately.
Yep.
And so I believe that that's very important as well to realize.
Absolutely. And if you don't know where to start, we've got a really great reading plan, and it's not too late.
Right.
So tell us about that.
Well, we talked about it last week a little bit, but our reading plan started on December the 4th, and I'm reading each day, going through the Bible, and we're starting. Sometimes it's one chapter, sometimes it's two chapters, but I give an overview explaining the text. Right now we're in the New Testament, so it's a lot of it's self-explanatory. So I go through it pretty quick, and then I read the text as well. And so each day we send that out, and you can find that on our website. You can also find that on our app. And that's where I would suggest you go, is download the app. You can get a link to the app off of our website as well, and that's calerebaptist.org. And then keep up with that each day. It'll be sent out. It'll give you a notification. Then you can watch the video, listen. If you would rather listen, you can listen to me read it. Otherwise, you can read the overview as well, because it's available on there. And then also the text can be read on the app as well.
Absolutely.
So that's a good place to start. But I'd also suggest get plugged into a small group or Sunday school class and attend church. I don't ask people to attend church just because I want more bodies and seats. It's because I believe it is the way that we equip the saints for works of service. God called us to do that and not to neglect the gathering together. And some people say, well, we can watch on TV, we can watch on video, we can do all these other things.
It's not the same.
Those things are available for people who are not able to be here because of sickness or being shut in. Being on vacation, things like that. But I believe it's very important that we are together, and so we're missing out when we're not gathering together.
Yeah.
And so I'd encourage people, let's get involved, let's stay involved, and let's be consistent in what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Plus, we're teaching our kids.
Yeah.
We're teaching them what's important to us. And so when we're inconsistent, we're teaching them that it's not that important to us. It's something that we do and it's optional. When we're consistent in doing something, we're teaching them this is important in our lives.
Yeah.
And we'll consistently grow when we're involved like that.
Absolutely. Well, you heard it right here. Our service times, they're not 8:30 and 10:45. We only have one service this week, and that's at 10:45.
10:45. No Sunday school, and also no child care as well. So these are it's a family gathering this Sunday at 10:45, and we'll try to gear it toward family and make it kid friendly as well. And we'll see how that goes.
We can't wait to see you here.